So over the last couple of days, we have been getting lots of questions regarding this new no further stay on student visas. And we were quite surprised to know that from the students itself, as there was no major announcement given by the government regarding that for the student visas. And we went and did some research regarding this and found out some interesting information. And in this video, we will talk about what this news actually is. What is this condition of no further stay? Why government is bringing this change? And does it apply to the student visas? Without further wasting any time, let's get into the video. And before I start the video, important disclaimer here, we are not a migration agents, neither we are migration agency. So in this video, the information we are providing is based on the publicly sourced information available from the government websites. That includes the Department of Home Affairs and the Minister of Home Affairs website as well. We will list them in the description box below for you to do your own due diligence after this video as well. If you have specific questions regarding your own circumstances, I highly recommend you to speak to a registered migration agent in case you need their help. Now let's get into the video first. So what this news is all about. So there was a media release by the Department of Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neil that was issued on 21st of March 2024. In this, she talks about how the government is delivering on their migration strategy that was released in December 2023. So here she specifically talks about the student visas and the changes they were bringing from the 23rd of March. That included the new genuine student requirement, the increase in English language requirements, and in that document itself, she specifically talks about the visitor visas as well. And here is that text that comes, and here is that point that she mentions about no further stay thing. So let's read that from the website itself. To avoid visitor visas being used as a way to subvert offshore student visa integrity checks, the government will be increasing the imposition of no further stay conditions on visitor visas. If a prospective student is offshore and looking to come to Australia as a student, then they should apply for a student visa offshore. And this is the point where she specifically mentions about no further stay on the visitor visas. And we read some articles online as well, and they were mentioning that these conditions are imposed on student visas. As you can read from this news update itself, that there was no mention that these conditions of no further stay will be applied to student visas. Rather, they talk specifically about visitor visas. Now, before we discuss about why the government is bringing this change, let's understand what this no further stay actually means. And we will read this information from the Department of Home Affairs website itself. So as written on the website, it says a no further stay condition means you can't apply for most temporary and permanent visas while you are in Australia. So as it says on the website, that you can't apply for basically other visas, whether temporary or permanent, if you have this condition on your visa. However, it is also mentioned on the same page that if this condition is on your visa and if you want to get it waived, you can apply for a waiver as long as you meet one of these 5 major reasons for a waiver, which are unable to travel for medical reasons, death or serious illness of close family, natural disaster in home country, war or civil unrest in home country, and your school cannot provide your approved course. Apart from that, there are no reasons for you to apply for this waiver. That also includes marriage or starting a de facto relationship with Australian citizen or permanent resident, failing your course, or pregnancy. So there are very limited circumstances under which you can apply for a waiver of this condition. So now let's discuss about why government is bringing this change of no further stay. First of all, it's not a new thing. This condition already exists on many different types of visas. But in this specific case of visitor visas, why government is bringing this change? The main concern for the government here is that some people intend to come on student visa in Australia, but instead they apply for a visitor visa. And why so? Because it's easier to get a visitor visa than a student visa. Of course, there are way more requirements when you're applying for a student visa than a visitor visa. I can give my own example here, that when I was applying for my student visa a while back, I have to give many documents and evidences for that. But when I applied a visitor visa for my family members, it was quite a straightforward process. But when some people who come to Australia on a visitor visa and then intend to change it to student visa, they usually bypass some of the requirements and the checks that people have to go through when they are applying for student visa offshore. So to address this situation, government is going to increase the imposition of no further stay on visitor visas, which, as I mentioned earlier, restricts the visitor visa holders to apply for another visa like a student visa. Again, the government aim here is to discourage people to enter into Australia on a visitor visa with intention condition to later apply for student visas. As mentioned in the statement by the Department of Home Affairs Minister, they clearly want people to apply for student visa offshore if they are keen to apply for student visa, and not to come here as a visitor then change it to a student visa afterwards. So this was the condition that was discussed in that specific statement, and there was no mention that they will impose these conditions on the student visa itself. Now, it might be a surprise for some of you that these sort of no further stay conditions are already there on student visas. It doesn't apply to all the students. However, if you go to the student visa condition page, you will see that there is a condition 8534 and 8535 listed on the web page. Just know that these does not apply to all the students. If you read the information given in the condition 8534, especially the additional information part, it says that condition 8534 can be applied to subclass 500 student visa holder and their family members at our discretion. The case officer that assesses your application will decide whether to apply the condition. So this does not apply to every single student visa holder. It may apply to some based on the discretion of a case officer. But just know that this is not something new. It has been there before. And even if you have this condition on your visa, you can still apply for some other type of visas, such as subclass 485 temporary graduate visa, which a lot of students apply after completing their studies, subclass 590, which is student guardian visa, or a protection visa. And with the condition 8535, this is a mandatory condition for the student visa holders who are sponsored by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade or Department of Defense. So only students who are either sponsored by Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade or Department of Defense will have this condition on their visa. So just to be clear and giving you a quick summary here, that there is no announcements regarding no further stay on student visas. The minister's statement was clearly addressing the issue regarding the visitor visas and for people who were changing their visitor visa to student visa after coming to Australia. So hopefully this clear up the information for you all. I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section below. And if you find this information useful, maybe someone else could do as well. So please make sure to share with your groups or your friends as well. And if you would like to know more about the new requirements and the changes that has come through from the 23rd of March for international students, please click this video here where I explain about both the new GS requirements and the new English requirements as well. So click there and I'll see you there.